Hi, my name is Corin and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And come on a journey with me as I create the life I want to live. Hello to everyone that has joined me back on my channel. And today is Saturday, March 22nd. It is currently 4:48 p.m. and I have tried to film this video 3 times now. When I say I don't know what I'm doing, I do not know what I'm doing, but hey, third time is a charm. So hello, welcome, and today I am wanting to talk about character building with you guys. And so I do want to mention that I do have a Pinterest board full of all of my inspiration for the kingdom and for my characters. And so when I did start putting together my characters, of course, I started with the names because most of the characters I came up with the names pretty quickly. And so I gathered all of that information, what I wanted them to look like. And then once I got that figured out, I did go out to Pinterest and looked up inspiration photos. So I put in the descriptions that I was looking for in my character. And then I chose the picture that best resembled the character that I was looking at. So with finding my characters, I did use AI generated character photos as well, so that I didn't feel like I had to be stuck on a specific look. I can make any changes if I wanted to for my characters. I just like to have a physical photo of what they look like, so that anytime I just need some inspiration for their character, looking at them helps me with that. And so with creating characters, it's also important that they each have their own special personality. And so one thing that I found in creating personalities that kind of helped was looking into the Enneagram types. Now, before I started writing a book, even when I was writing for fun, I had no idea what an Enneagram type was. But last year, since I did get into AuthorTube, a lot of the things that I was watching were tips videos on how to write a story and how to create your characters. And so one of the YouTubers that I watched many videos on and have many resources from is Abby Emmons. She has really great videos of what you should and shouldn't do in writing a book. And of course, with those types of videos, it is up to viewers' discretion. But a lot of the things that she talked about, I actually did use. And so for the Enneagrams, basically what it is 9 basic personality types to help you to find your character's personality. So what I have here is actually a notebook where I write all of my notes for any of the videos that I watched. All of these notes are from Abby Emmons' videos to help me to understand what I need for my characters. And so for those 9 Enneagram types, I won't explain each one because honestly, remember when I said that I don't really know what I'm doing? Well, for the personality types, really, what I use them for is I use them as the base for my character personality and then add in or subtract what I think doesn't work for that specific character. So one of the things that Abby Emmons has said in one of her videos that actually stuck with me is she said that your plot doesn't matter, but your characters do. And honestly, when I first heard that, I was like, that doesn't make sense because if you don't have a plot, then you don't have a book. But really what I've learned during or through this process is that your characters are very important to the plot. They're the ones that kind of decide the plot of the story, really. And so with that, there's just a lot of questions and things you kind of want to ask yourself in regards to your character to make sure that they are playing the part that they're supposed to play or bringing the plot along how it's supposed to go. Because if it feels like you're forcing the plot when the characters don't want to go there, that's a problem. She also brings up quite a bit is inner conflict. She said if your character doesn't have inner conflict, then you don't have a character. And that is something I'm struggling with. Not really struggling with, but like, yeah. So essentially what the inner conflict does is make your character feel more realistic, because we all know each and every one of us deals with something in our life, and what we're dealing with can cause us to make certain decisions that will lead to certain things in the future. And so with the inner conflict, it's essentially, I'm so sorry, y'all. 1 second. All right, sorry, I am very bright now. I know in previous clips I had the lines on my face from my shades, but I am currently sitting at my desk right in front of my window. It was gloomy all day today, and now the sun decides to shine on my face. I wish the sun would have been out all day, but and another thing that you would want when creating your character profile is making sure you understand the background of that character. So if your character is problematic, typically there should be a reasoning why that person is problematic, because people don't just become problematic. You know, like as kids, I feel like when we develop our personalities, it's developed on what we've learned or what we know up to that point. And so learning your character's background is very important, and I'm learning to try to figure that out more the more I get into my character profiles, because I do have a few character profiles done, but not all of them. And I do have different sections of profiles. So I have my main characters, side characters, and minor characters that I create profiles for. Of course, I'm not going to have as much extensive information that I'll need for minor characters, but there's still information that I need to help me to keep track of that for those characters. When I do create my character profiles, I also make sure I have literally every single detail. I want to know their height and weight, even if it won't matter. I want to know their hair color, hair type, hair length. I want to know body type. But I feel like all of that information, even if it's not needed in your story, I like to have that character information, because the more information I have, the better I feel like I know my characters, so that when I'm writing, there's no confusion. Especially with like the hair type, like I want to know how it flows in the wind if it's windy outside, and that will depend on the hair type. So at least that's why I do that. And so if you are a beginner just like me and you are trying to learn everything that you can about writing a book or even about writing your characters, I may not have all the answers, and I'm gonna tell you, I don't have all the answers. I'm getting answers from other people that got the answers. So of course I do hope to be helpful, but if there's anything that I don't know or you feel like you are missing, I would definitely recommend going out to Abby Emmons' page to see all of the videos that she has regarding writing and character building, because her page has definitely been very helpful for me. I do have a few characters that I haven't gotten plotted out or fleshed out. And so what I will go ahead and do is get started on finishing some of those character sheets that I haven't gotten to. And so I would like to introduce you guys to Jacob. He is considered one of the minor characters in this story. I really did have a hard time figuring out if I wanted him to be a main character or a minor character, but because I have so many characters in this book in general, I really just wanted to keep the main characters to be the 4 female leads for this book, especially since I think those are the only POVs that I want to get into. And so he is a minor character, but he does have a big part in this book. And fun fact is that I actually created this character without a storyline in mind. You know, I'm the kind of person that I feel like I'm always creating stories. And so I have literally a whole list of story ideas that I have plotted in my brain. And one thing that has been in every single story is I have a character named Jacob. Description and personality all the same in every single story. But for some reason, I love the name Jacob, and that character, even though he's not a real character, has stuck with me. So I had to really think hard and decide what story I wanted this character to be in, because of course he can't be in every single story. And so since, you know, this being my first story, I thought this would be very special. And so he is going to be in this story. And so even though he is not a main character, he holds a very special place in my heart. And so I'm really excited to get his character fleshed out and written out. But his role in this story is he is going to be one of the princess's royal guard. And so his role in the story is basically to keep one of the most important princesses safe. And so I really don't know how much I should share about this character or what you guys would want to know. Of course, as the time goes on and I create these videos, if there is anything that you want to know about the specific plot or characters that I share, then feel free to comment and ask, and I'll answer as best as I can. I know with certain book aspects, some things should be kind of secret until the book actually comes out. And so I'm kind of really trying to decipher what information I should provide or not. But with this character, I'm just really hoping that people love him as much as I do. And yeah, I'm excited for the role and for the, basically excited to see where life takes him through this book. So before I get into getting him written out, I do want to share his personality type from the Enneagram, since we did discuss the Enneagram earlier. And so I do have my printout sheets, little cheat sheets from Abby Emmons' website, where she has all of her cheat sheets for book writing and character development. So for Jacob, I have his personality type as a mix of the challenger and a loyalist. So like I said, when I use the Enneagrams, I use them as like the basic place for me to start with their personality and then just build on from that. And I wanted Jacob to be a little bit more complex. And so I feel like he has a mix of certain personalities, because I feel like because of the job that he does, it can cause his personality to be a little bit different than in his personal life when he's not on the job. Because the thing is, with being a royal guard over the princess, he's basically working 24 hours for the most part, because his whole job is to be with the princess at all times. And of course, there's on and off shifts, whatever. But most of the time, he'll be with the princess. So a lot of his personality you won't be able to see until he's in the scenes of him out in his personal life. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited about his character. All right, so I will go ahead and read these off of my little cheat sheet because I don't have these memorized. But for the loyalist, it states that they are committed and security oriented. So they're engaging, responsible, anxious, and suspicious. They have a basic fear of being without support and guidance, and a basic desire to have security and support. Their key motivations is to want to have security, to feel supported by others, to have certitude and reassurance, and to test attitudes of others towards them, and to fight against anxiety and insecurity. And then the thing that Abby Emmons does as well that can be helpful if you've heard any of the movie or book references that she provides, but she also provides fictional character examples for each Enneagram. And for the challenger, they are the powerful, dominating type, so self-confident, decisive, willful, and confrontational, basic fears of being harmed or controlled by others, basic desires to protect themselves, to be in control of their own life and destiny. Key motivations is to want to be self-reliant, to prove their strength and resist weakness, to be important in their world, to dominate the environment, and to stay in control of their situation. The loyalist, that is kind of more of the personality that Jacob will kind of take on in his personal life. And then the challenger is more of a personality that he'll take on in his job. But both will kind of mix in with his internal conflict. Because of course, even though I have different kind of personality types that I'm putting together for this one character, their internal conflict will kind of be a mesh of both. And I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's what makes sense to me. And so since I did go ahead and go over those personality types for Jacob, I am now going to go ahead and get his character sheets all completed. So we are back today on Sunday, March 23rd. And I decided, I know that I told you guys yesterday, talked about developing characters, and I talked about one of my characters, Jacob, and how I completed his as much as I could for his character sheet. But honestly, guys, I don't know if I want to do any more character sheets. I feel like I provided the info that I used yesterday regarding the character sheets, and so I don't think that you guys just want to keep watching me fill out the rest of these character sheets. Now, if you are interested in other characters, since I did bring up one, then I can definitely go through those character sheets with you. But I don't think I want to do that today. I'm still trying to figure out what information I should give to try to be as helpful as possible. But really, we're just gonna go through my process of writing a book, and sometimes, even though I have something planned for the day, if I'm not feeling it, I'm not doing it, and I don't feel like doing more character sheets today. So one thing that I've been wanting to do that I haven't done yet is complete chapter 1. I started writing chapter 1 of this first book, and I have not gone through it. I have had to do some research on how to complete chapter 1 because I feel like it might not reel people in like it's supposed to. And I also watched videos that state that you don't want to start the book at the top of the day and basically do a get ready with me and go through the day with your character. That's how I started it. So I definitely have to revise. And so I did do some research on how to write chapter 1. And so I can go ahead and provide you what I found and then get into writing chapter 1. So since I did create a Pinterest board for my book, now when I go onto Pinterest, I get a lot of either inspo that's based off of what I have saved, or even book writing tips and tricks, because I have researched some writing tips through Pinterest. And so for writing chapter 1, the information I found is from a clip art that had tips for writing your first chapter. And so something that you'll want to have, it states to start with a hook. And so something that catches the attention of the reader is that first hit line where it's like, oh, this is gonna be good. And so looking at my chapter 1, actually, because I do have it pulled up in front of me on my iPad, because I do currently write on my iPad, because I do have a MacBook, but it is so outdated, it's not gonna work. So right now I have my iPad here, and yeah, my first sentence, I don't think it's gonna draw anybody in. And also another tip is it states to start them in the middle of an action or like an adventure. And so since I did want to have kind of like an adventure that happens in the beginning of the book, it was actually going to be like chapter 2, but giving the information I found, I realized I need to scrap the days before that and just start with the adventure. So it does start on an adventure while they go out to the to a forgotten land. And so I think I have that pretty good. In your chapter 1, you also want to establish the stakes, what is at risk, and also show why your story matters. I'm gonna just read off my notes. It says, for example, with establishing the stakes, a protagonist racing against time, facing an emotional dilemma, or encountering a dangerous situation. Hopefully that's helpful. It also states that you will want to immerse your reader in this setting. And so don't overwhelm the readers in your first chapter with a lot of world building or details, but provide enough that grounds the character so that there's some interaction with their environment, but you're not doing too much. And then, of course, introduce your protagonists in chapter 1. With that information, let's go ahead and dive into my chapter 1 and take a look and see how I can fix this up. All right, so to start, we have to come up with a hook. The first hard-hitting sentence that's going to draw everybody in. So like I said, I am going to start this chapter off with the protagonist, the main character. I told you I had 4 main characters, but there's 1 main out of the 4 main. And so it starts off with her, of course, her POV. And so to get the hook, it starts in an adventure, but let's see. The first sentence, it says, the carriage comes to a halt and I quickly pull my hood up so that my face cannot be seen and I hop out of the carriage. That's just blah. Blah. I don't like that. So I have to figure out how I would do this, and I have no idea. So what my character is doing, my main character's name is Winter. She is with Jacob. Since he is her guard, they basically go everywhere together. They ride out to the Forgotten Lands that I call Tent City. This scene is just going to play a big part in what happens to her down the line as the book progresses. Also shows her character and some of her intent, really. So I know that I want to make this little adventure thing a little bit more extra than what it already is. So I already have to rewrite quite a bit of it. I need to add the drama because there's no drama in it right now. Okay, first sentence. I have to figure out, so they are just getting there and getting to the carriage. Now, the reasoning why they have the hood so that people cannot see their face, because when they do go help the homeless, they do it in secret. So they're oh, yes! I should mention this. She is basically a Robin Hood of my story. How did I almost forget to mention that part? That's important. So that's why their identities are hidden, because Winter is the princess of the royal family. Okay, so that's important. But there's other parts to it on why her identity cannot be seen when she does this, which is going to be also a big part. I'm probably not going to share that part, at least not right now, because I feel like that'd be giving away a lot of information. What I have to add in is basically the race against time to make it to the tent city so she can help the people she needs to, while also then making it back in time to get ready for the ball, which is going to be an all-day thing, and then also do it without getting caught by her parents, because then that would be just an issue. So let's see. Let me see what I can come up with. So I think that I might have actually got my hook figured out. this is definitely probably not going to be the end game first line that's going to stick because I wrote it in like 5-10 minutes. But I think it causes enough drama for right now that gives me an idea of where I want to take this chapter. But I wrote, as we raced down the long path with the royal knights chasing close behind, I held my breath, knowing this could be the last time that we make this trip together. Which I think is pretty good, you know? It's pretty good. It causes some drama, because if she does get caught, if her and Jacob get caught, then it would be the last time they do their trip together. Okay? Okay, so we got that part figured out. Next step, establish the stakes. Explain, or I guess, show what's at risk, and also show why this is important to the story. Or why the story matters. Sorry. Why the story matters. And so essentially, what Winter wants to do is make a change in this kingdom, which is why she is helping out with the homeless. And so, and that will be really important because essentially she wants to change the rules of the kingdom, which she does have potential to do if she becomes queen. But will she? Okay. Okay. So I think I think I already have established in this chapter. So I don't think I really need to add any to that. And in this chapter, I also kind of explain, that's what I might be able to add a little bit, explain why what they're doing is a risk, because I don't really have that written out here. Yeah, so that would be something that I could add. Also, when I'm sharing these tips, this is not something you have to do in your book. I just feel like it helps me to find a starting place with writing, because like I said, I used to write a little bit in high school and even took a creative writing class, but do I remember what they told us and taught us in that writing class? No. And so with writing this series, I really feel like I'm learning everything all over again. And so the information that I find, it's just to help me with a starting point, because at the end of the day, I'm still just going to write a book that I want to write. If that's something that if that's a tip that I don't want to add into my story, I'm not going to. Okay. It also states to immerse the reader into their setting. So they're not just, even though you don't want to provide a lot of world building in this first chapter, they also are not just running or riding their carriage through an opened blank nothing. You know, there should be either trees or houses that they pass by, or something that can draw the readers, or that would draw the attention of the protagonist, that can be mentioned, but it won't necessarily be too much. So I do a little bit of that. I'll have to add some in the beginning since I have to add the drama, but I do have in here, there are, in the tent city, there are tents scattered throughout this little middle section of land, with men, women, and children. Okay, yeah, I added a little bit, not too much. This really kind of more or less explains this city, which will be also important in this story. I'll go ahead and try to get the rest of this chapter 1 written out and see if I can hit any of the other points that I didn't get on here. Because essentially all I need to really do is add the element of the risk. So maybe have like either a conversation or have her think about the risks that she is taking to do this. And then add a little bit more sights that she's seeing, like a little bit more world building a little bit in a way, to have her just see more of her surrounding. I will go ahead and do that, and I will show you a little bit of that. All right, so I am back. I did finish looking through chapter 1. I didn't realize that I had a pretty good sense of chapter 1. I didn't really have to add much, but it did take me about 30 minutes to go through it. Currently, I do not have a word count. I do write all my stuff or getting it transferred over to my Google Drive. And so I do want to eventually use Scrivener to do my writing, but really in this economy, I don't really have the money to be getting all these subscriptions. So yeah, right now I'm using my Google Drive, but I think that is going to be all of the writing for today. I realized doing this video that I'm kind of going to have to plot out my next steps and how I want to go about writing and figure out kind of a cleaner process, just because after filming this video, I realized kind of what I am doing just by going with the flow. It's a hot mess. It's really a hot mess. So I'm going to take this week to kind of organize my thoughts and my material, and hopefully I will see you again next week. So I thank you to everyone that has taken time out to watch this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you again next week on Monday. Bye.